Hello everyone and welcome to Love Inspiry YouTube. It's your girl Angie, the founder of Love Inspiry LLC, where our mission is to build more powerful, more transparent, and more durable relationships. And we do that by helping couples overcome their relationship adversity, as well as preparing individuals to enter healthy relationships. Welcome to the Breakover series, the last episode, episode 10, where we are going to discuss how to divorce-proof your marriage. Stick around and let's talk love. Before I get into the tips of how to divorce-proof your marriage, I first want to thank everyone for taking the time out to watch the Breakover series, whether you came in on episode 2, whether you watched all the way from the beginning until now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so blessed and honored to have had this opportunity to open the conversation, open the dialogue about divorce. I also want to send a huge thank you to my guests for their transparency, their willingness to share their experience to help you out in the future if you're going through a divorce. I appreciate it all, but now let's get into tips on how to divorce-proof your marriage. The first tip that I want to talk about is really essential to discuss, and that's because we all know it, but my guest, each and every guest that I had on this series talked about this specific thing. And if you've been following the series, you know it's communication. Every single person touched on the importance, the significance, how critical it is to communicate in your relationship. And communication is not just talking. It's not just me right now, right? It's my transparency. It's my openness. It's my willingness to be honest and vulnerable with my significant other. And that's simply just so they can understand who you are, how to love you, how to treat you. They don't know that unless you communicate your needs. And that's why I did the Connecting Beyond Sex book, the workshop, to teach people how to build that connection. It's not just about connecting, beyond sex, but it's about building and maintaining that connection with your significant other. It's about creating that vulnerability. And to create vulnerability, you have to have that conversation. You have to be willing to open up to this person and express all of you. And I think that's the number one thing that we lack when we get into this relationship. We don't express our realistic expectations. We don't express, hey, this is what I need. This is what I desire. This is what, one guest told me she needs a companion that wants to pray with her in the beginning of the day, pray with her in the end of the night. And to me, holding true to your integrity, holding true to your values, expressing that's so key to having success in your relationship, because you set yourself up in the beginning of the relationship to say, hey, this is my boundary. This is what I am not going to tolerate. I need you to be on this level with me. And as long as it's realistic, you have to express it. Also, I want to make note, when you communicate, you prevent mishaps. You prevent misinterpretations. Because a lot of the times our mind can wander. It can shift over into, well, did so-and-so mean this or did so-and-so mean that? Talk about it. If you don't talk about it, you can't fix the issue. And one thing that I want to say with communication also, before I move on to my second divorce-proof tip, I promise that's the last time I'm going to say that, is be willing to work on the issue. Don't look at your partner as the problem. Look at the issue, because when you look at your partner, that's when you start finding flaws and imperfections. Tackle the issue. What is the issue? Is the issue trust? Okay, let's deal with the trust. Is the issue you don't put the dishes in the dishwasher? Let's deal with the issue. Don't deal with the person. Deal with the issue. And that's one thing that I want to say with communication. You have to open that conversation, just like we did with this series. You have to be willing to talk about the uncomfortable. And I'll tell you one thing. When you talk about the uncomfortable, it will put you in a place to be comfortable in your relationship. That's the only way to get there. That's the only way to have longevity, is to communicate your concerns, talk about them, and be willing to work through them together as a couple, as a married couple, as a unit, as a union. My second divorce-proof tip is something that is easier said than done, I guess, but it's forgiveness. We have to learn to love beyond faults. You know, the best marriages go through this. Disappointment is going to happen, even with the people that you least expect it to happen with. At some point, because we are human, because we are flesh, at some point, somebody, your partner in this instance, is going to disappoint you. They're going to do something that you don't like. They're going to do something to hurt your feelings. They're going to just do something. And it doesn't have to be anything big like infidelity or hitting you. It could be something small, like forgetting your birthday or something, whatever the case may be. Disappointment is going to happen, but it's our job to love beyond those imperfections. And one thing that I want to talk about with forgiveness is when you're talking about big things like habitual liars, habitual deceit, habitual cheating or infidelity, habitual abuse, that forgiveness does not require you to be reacquainted with that person. That's one disclaimer that I want to share. Just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean that you have to allow them back into your life. It doesn't mean that you have to be all willy-nilly and hunky-dory with them. All it means is I'm at peace with myself. I'm at peace with the lessons I learned in the situation, and I'm going to love from a distance. I'm going to move on from a distance. I'm not going to hold animosity and resentment towards this person from a distance. So don't think when I say forgiveness that I mean you need to forgive somebody hitting you. I don't even teach people how to cope through that or how to overcome that, because I just don't believe in it. And also habitual things like infidelity and lying and deceit. I'm not going to teach people how to cope through that, because I just don't think, I think at some point habitual stuff that happens is the desire for acceptance. Not that I'm trying to change. I just want you to accept that I'm going to lie, I'm going to cheat, I'm going to do all this stuff, and you're just going to deal with it. And I don't feel like anybody deserves that. So that's the disclaimer that I wanted to throw out there.
However,
we have to choose to understand. And I think I talked about this with my guest, 𝐿 is we make choices. A lot of people choose to not understand their significant other because all they see is their point of view. You know, it's like a tunnel vision. All they see is them getting their point across, them being right. They're not choosing to show empathy, right? Put yourself in this person's shoes and see what it is that they're saying. They're not willing to do that. And so we have to make a choice to understand. That's how you forgive. That's how you move on in your relationship.
Oh shoot, there was a point I wanted to make.
I have a t-shirt, sweatshirt, whatever you want to call it, that's coming out on Black Friday centered around forgiveness, because Jesus told us to forgive 70 times 7. And that doesn't mean 490 times. That means endless. That means you have to forgive. To love your partner, you have to forgive. That's what true love is. It's being able to be compassionate. It's being able to forgive this person's imperfections, because you want forgiveness for your imperfections. You want forgiveness for your flaws. You want forgiveness if you forget something. You want forgiveness if you don't do something right. So you have to be willing to give that. And that's what people mean when they say relationships are give and take. And that's a prime example of a give and take. So be willing to forgive, be willing to show forgiveness, and be willing to understand. Place yourself in your partner's shoes. The third divorce-proof tip that I want to talk about is something I'm extremely passionate about. If you are a follower of mine, you know this. And it is preparation. Being prepared. There's a quote out there that says, when you don't prepare, you prepare to fail.
Absolutely
Love that, because it's so true. Preparation is key. And for our Christians out there, we know that God's plan is going to prevail. It's going to happen. God's will is going to happen. But he gives us sound mind. He gives us common sense to not just go willy-nilly. You know, his will is going to be done, but we have to make plans. And part of those plans is preparing yourself, preparing your mindset for a relationship. If you are in a relationship right now, the best thing you can do is build a solid foundation. Don't rush your foundation because your girlfriend is getting married. Don't rush your foundation because your boy just got married and he's all excited now. Don't do that. Don't look at other people's relationships and compare yourselves. Focus on building your union. Focus on building that connection. Focus on building your love to last a lifetime, to go the longevity. Because when you don't prepare your relationship, when you don't build your foundation, when things come up, when things arise,
listen.
that house that you think you've built is going to fall. And I remember going through my experience with my husband, our financial issues, our financial stress, being financially bound from sleeping in motels to all types of different financial things happening to us. The foundation did not waver. It did not shake. And we had F5 tornadoes come through. We had hurricanes come through. But the foundation stood. And that's because we took the time to build our union. We took the time to say, I am dedicated to you. You're dedicated to me. How are we going to work through this? And that's by building that foundation. And that's what was important to us. That's the one thing that we actually got right in our teenage years, is building together, becoming friends, building that trust, being honest with one another, having that love and that connection, that understanding that we have to where we can finish each other's sentences. We know what each other is thinking, even when we've been riding in silence for an hour. That's how you do that in your foundation. You have to know what you are getting yourself into. And you can't do that unless you build and you work on your foundation. The last thing you want to do is, and this is why divorces happen, because people are not building strong foundations. It's because people are not allowing time to do what it does. Show you who a person is. Show you, are their words true? Show you, okay, what they told me in the beginning, are they really about that life? That's what that does. And so take your time. Don't rush it. Don't feel like that your biological clock is ticking. What's meant to be is going to be. If you're not meant to have children, you're not going to have them. If you are meant to get married at 45, you're going to get married at 45. It doesn't matter. Age has nothing to do with it. It's about having a strong union. And whether you get married, to all my single people out there that's listening, whether you get married at 30, whether you get married at 40, build your foundation. Make it strong. Make it sturdy. My fourth divorce proof tip is, when you get into the marriage, one of my biggest pet peeves when I think about relationships and marriages is people that, ever have a boyfriend or girlfriend. In the beginning of the relationship, they start off, they're doing A, B, and C, dotting every I, crossing every T. And as they get comfortable, you start to notice, so I ain't doing this no more. Major issue with that. You can't get comfortable in your relationship. You can't get comfortable in your marriage. I don't care how long you've been married. And that's why I think I said infidelity is more likely to happen with older people, ages 50 through 60, people that have been married 20 to 30 years. That's a fact. That's because people have gotten comfortable. You have to continue to do the work. You have to continue to be invested. And that's the number one tip to divorce proof your marriage. Continue to do that work. Continue to date one another. Continue to laugh and joke with one another. Continue to do the things that you did when you were first getting together, when you were first learning to like each other and love each other. That's what will keep that flame going. That's what will keep that connection going. You have to maintain what you've started. It's like running a race. I ran track in high school. I did the 400 hurdles. You have to keep the same speed. Otherwise, you're going to slow down and you're going to lose the race. You have to maintain. The way I jumped over that hurdle maybe the fourth time and got in first place, I have to continue to do that same technique to keep my first place position. And that's what you guys have to do in your marriage. Maintain in your endurance. Endure. Whatever you were doing in the beginning, don't get comfortable. Don't get lazy because you've been with so-and-so for 10 years. Continue to do that work. And I'm saying all this because I've experienced it. I've gone through it. I've been married next year. It'll be 15 years. And I know what I'm talking about when I tell you this. So I'm not telling you anything that I haven't tried myself. Always date each other. Always love up on each other. Whatever you have to do to maintain that relationship. And I talk about that also in the Connect and Beyond Sex workshop. Maintaining that connection. Because it's one thing, anybody can build something, but you have to be able to maintain it. It's like people that buy cars that they can't really afford the maintenance. Like, I can go out and purchase a BMW, but can I afford the maintenance of a BMW? You have to be able to maintain. Maintain, guys. Maintain. And the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to divorce proofing your marriage is understanding your vows. So this is so important to me that I wrote a whole entire book on it, breaking down each marriage vow, to have and to hold, for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. They're all so important to talk about, to understand, to live by. We have to know that we have ownership. We need to be accountable. We need to understand, for better or worse. Listen, if we're sleeping in motels, I'm going to ride with you for better or for worse. If we are sharing sandwiches off the dollar menu, I'm going to ride with you for better or for worse. You know, the same way my husband and I were up, traveling, doing different things, and I was loving on him then, I'm going to love on you when we're down in a valley. And guess what? We're going to get out of that valley together. And that's why Love Inspiry is even here, because we got out of that valley together. And I'm sharing all that with you. So understand your vows. Know what they mean, what they truly mean. I know on that day you're so consumed with the wedding. And this is why I'm not knocking anybody that has a big wedding. This is why you should not focus on the wedding. You should focus on the marriage. And I know it's so cliche to say, but the wedding is only three hours, 4 or 5 hours. Maybe if you're partying hard, 6, 7 hours. Listen, the marriage is what's going to last. The marriage is what you need to tend to. The marriage is what's going to define whether you're going to overcome the bad that may come to you or the disappointment that you may face. That's what's important, and that's what you should focus on. So check out my book, Vow Triumph. It really goes through. You can watch the series also, because I did a series on that in connection to the book. So just make sure that you are understanding what you are truly saying on that day. Take your vows serious. One thing that I want to say is marriage is still honorable. It's still a blessed thing to go through. Don't let people that have been burned or people that don't know anything about it tell you that it's not that serious anymore. It is serious. It can be serious if you take it serious. Marriages aren't serious anymore because people are not taking them seriously. But if you understand your vows, you can take it seriously and you can adhere to those vows. You can apply those vows to situations where you're having an argument over a financial matter. You can take it back and say, hey, listen, I chose to be accountable on that day we got married. So how can I be accountable in this relationship? Understand your vows. Know your vows. So guys, that concludes this series, the Breakover series. I hope you learned something along the way. I hope you can take something into your relationship, your marriage, whether you're single, whether you're married. I hope you got something from this and can learn. It's not about just watching videos and reading books. It's about applying what you have learned. I'm all about application. So I hope you can take some of this information into your relationship as a reminder. Hey, I need to be a little bit more compassionate in this area. I need to communicate a little bit better for my partner to understand where I'm at in this particular moment in my life, or with this idea that I have, or my opinion, whatever the case may be. I hope you got something from this. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Love Inspiry to find out our next series that will be coming in January, and I'm so excited for it. I'm sure it's something for you in that next series. So follow us and you'll find out what that is very, very soon. If you like what you saw, please join the fam and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We talk relationships, we talk marriages, health, wisdom, all of that, hope, endurance, how to maintain longevity in the relationships. We talk about it all here at Love Inspiry YouTube. So click that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and drop a positive comment below. Somebody may be reading it and may need encouragement along the way. Guys, I'll see you all this Wednesday on our regularly scheduled YouTube program. And I'll see you all in January with the new series. Have a blessed day.